welcome everyone to our third and last webinar of our e-commerce series. We are going to be talking today about taking your e-commerce to the next level. Hopefully, everyone who is joining us here today has already heard or was part of our last two webinars. The first one talking about myths, and the second one about getting started. Today, we're hoping to get a little bit more technical with all your setup and an internal flow and a few other tips that we have for you today. So before we get started, I would just like to ask again. We're going to launch the poll one more time in regards to if you're a current Komet user. So if you can take a few seconds to go ahead and answer that, just so we can get an idea of who's here. Um, it's just going to take a few seconds. And all right, we're going to go ahead and close the poll. Thank you everyone for answering. So a little bit of everything again. So we have a few people who are not currently using Comet, but most of you are. And if you can go ahead and answer this next poll, please. We just want to know if you're an importer, wholesaler, a broker, or a grower. All right. Okay, great. It looks like everyone has answered here. So we'll go ahead and close out this poll as well. Most of you are importers. Okay, so that gives us an idea. Great. Thank you so much, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started now. So just as always on our webinars, just a few things that we want to mention. First of all, this is me again from the marketing department. And joining us today is Danny.
Hey guys, hope everybody's doing great today.
All right, awesome. So we'll walk you through the entire webinar today. Just a few things to keep in mind. As always, everybody's muted. So while we run the webinar, just please make sure that you're asking questions through the platform, because we will have a Q&A session at the end. And then it is recorded as well. All of our webinars after the recording are sent to you by email, and they're also posted on our resources page. All right, so the agenda for today, we'll take a few minutes to talk about optimizing sales and your sales flow. Then we'll go into the key advanced features that we promised. And then we're going to go through a demo to show you within the system how everything ties in together, everything that we've already talked about. And then we'll close with how to take your customers to the next level as well. And then, as always, a Q&A session. So I think we're ready to get started now. Danny, if you want to take it away.
Absolutely. So again, once again, I hope everybody's doing great today. So the first point I really want to talk about on optimizing the sales is really inventory management. Why am I bringing this up today? Is because in order to really optimize the sales, we really need to take into account our inventory management, right? Along with that goes the sales channels. So as we have a proper management of the inventory, we can really focus a lot on the sales channels, taking also into account the inventory ties, right? So when I say relate inventory management to sales channels and inventory types is okay. If I know I'm a salesperson, what types of inventory do I want to sell? Do I want to do what we're in later on we're going to see, which is going to be open market, future sales, vendor availability, comment to comment. So it's really important to take that into account. And to really top it off on this part is really going to be deals and discounts. What's going on with our inventory? What are the products that we have on discounts today, or the special deals that we got going on because the product is about to go bad and then we really need to go into special deal with it before our time frame. It could be the 5 days or 6 days, whatever the company really sets up, right? The next thing we're also going to focus on as well is going to be the sales strategy. This is really the biggest thing we need to focus on. Why the sales strategy? Because without a sales strategy, no matter how great of a salesperson I am or how great a sales team we have, we're not really going to go nowhere. We don't have focus. So the sales strategy is the most important thing to go after we know what our inventory is and how we're going to execute, right? Which all those goes along together. Sales types, it's really focus a lot on properly using the sales channels, taking detailed key advanced features, and really goes alongside as well with the internal flow. What is my salesperson going to focus on? If I know I have a bigger segment and my customers in a specific way, which I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes as well, then really that is going to go. The workflow going to be focused on pre-booking, on open market, and things like that with each individual customer, right? And really important of this is keeping track with reportings, right? So if I already have my strategy, I already have my inventory management properly, my sales types related, my sales team really knows what the internal flow goes. When I create a report weekly basis and check it up, every month or 2 months to see figure out how things are, going out and making sure I make tweaks. This is really important. It's going to let us know what's happening. Is really reporting, right? The next key important thing I want to talk about before I go into the key features is going to be who my audience, which I just mentioned a few minutes ago. Really important about who my audience is really audience segmentation. Why do I say this? Is because with new channels that are now having to use within the system, like I mentioned earlier, future sales, open market, vendor availability, K2K, right? All these things taken into account. Again, the cold calling or emailing or the customers to Skype or the customers that just really like to have that visit. Based on that, as a salesperson, as a sales team, I need to know how my audience is segmented. Where's my biggest, let's say, return for the money, or where's my biggest sales? Are there, we have more tech savvy customers, or we have more customers that like to actually have that visit, or we really have a lot more customers that are more focused on emails. So based on that, as a salesperson, I can make the strategy. Focus on one segment at a time. Make sure I maximize that. When I finish that, then I switch on to the next, and that's really going to be the key point of this on maximizing our sales. Okay. The other part really is the tier pricing. Within the system, there's a couple of parts where I can do, and really not just in the tier pricing, but I can, I put it as a tier pricing, but really at it'll be more of a markup or markdown for customers, or price list for customers. There's different things, so we can focus it based maybe on customers that buy big volumes, so we can just say, hey, this customer buys constantly, we should give them a discount, or things like that. We need to focus on. Okay. And the last key thing, which really complements everything that I just went over, is really the execution. I can have the best strategy, the best ideas, but if we don't execute it properly, that strategy and that idea is going to go nowhere. So the most important thing after I figure out my internal flow and my strategy is the execution, and that is constantly being worked on and processed so I can go back and check and really tweak what's going on. Okay. Now, really, the most important thing where I want to spend a little more time is the key advanced features that go along with what I just showed you guys. Okay, so to also maximize your strategies, really are going to be one, sales fast. Okay, within the system on the e-commerce platform. Well, most of you already probably seen this feature within the regular sales part as a back end. Okay, and when I relate to the back end will be where not what the customer is going to see, but you as a company will be visualizing, especially your inventory or the order entry at orders, right? Inventory, where you're going to see a little lightning bulb. That sell fast, there's two ways to activate that within the system. We can automate it that once the product it hits a certain age, automatically hits in the sales fast, and sales reps can see that and start pushing that product first because that's the oldest, right? Also, there's a setting where we can enable that to be reflected on e-commerce, so customers can visualize it or not see it. We can hide it. One of the key things we can do with the sell fast, if we enable that and we teach our customers when they see that and when they hover over in the e-commerce, it's going to say deal, meaning there's a special discount, and we can really hit that with our promotional measures, which I'll show you guys in a few minutes how that's going to work. So this is a really key feature that we could use and try to maximize to make the special sales. The next key feature, customer advanced settings. Most of you also know within the setup customers, and you edit the customer, there's an advanced setting type where we can go ahead and see specific features like markups, markdowns, or we can even only focus on the bottom where we're going to see e-commerce settings, right? Do we want the customers to see vendor name, vendor code? Do we want the customer to see, how they want the product to be delivered to his location or shipped from our location, right? Different calculations or certain things that we want to specify for the customer. So this is really important, customer advanced settings. Future sales. This is, I think, one of the biggest features that we really need to maximize as a company. Why? Because we can help us reduce, dump product, right? If we buy a lot of product off this market and we can't start selling it until it really arrives to a warehouse, then the chances of losing a lot of product, we all know it's high. Where we can really take advantage of the future sales, where procurement makes those orders, we know it's coming in. As a salesperson, I'm pushing that future sales to my customers. So when it comes in, we have a less product and less chances of that going bad, the better we can really work and maximize our sales and really reduce cost. Pricing, again, we have the markups, markdowns, we have price lists, We have manual pricing we can do under the inventory pricing tab, and we can do it manually, or we can do a mass update. This is really important so we can take advantage of those special seasons or special customers, and really just also there's price A and price B. We can kind of use that as a threshold for sales reps to say, okay, this is the highest we can go, this is the lowest we can go on a discount for customers and things like that, so we can better track that part. K2K, definitely take advantage of K2K. K2K is really booming by the day. They're finding, everybody's starting to see the huge potential and the efficiency of this because we're projecting inventory that is not even ours. I mean, heck, why not use this where I can don't have to worry about buying inventory as of now, but I'm grabbing my vendor's inventory, reflecting it to my system, and start selling it. As soon as my customer pre-books it, automatically I purchase it from a vendor, and it saves me a lot of time. It saves me money, and there's a lot of things that I can raise. So you guys are already guaranteeing that that product is being purchased because it's already pre-sold, right? So really take advantage of that. Vendor availability. A lot of you may not really know the vendor availability. This is really a feature that was originally created for farms to upload their future projection, what they're going to cut in 3 months, 6 months, whatever, in the future out, and you guys can start pre-booking that product for seasons or for any time you need it because that's really what the farm will have. This is a file, an Excel file that the vendor can actually upload through the grower portal. You guys can visualize it as yourselves, your procurement, and also your customers can visualize this and start pre-booking things, and you guys are already making that. Or there's a special advanced features like, hey, letting your customer, create a mix box out of the vendor availability, right? And there's a bunch of settings behind the scenes that if any of you that are joining the webinar today really want to go into more detail with that, I suggest that you reach out to us and reach out to our customer team, our implementation, and really try to take advantage of that to maximize those potentials, okay? So with that said, I really now want to go into the demo and kind of show you those main things that we went over, okay? So let's focus on the key features that I just went over. So now that we're here, most of you already know the screen, right? What we're going to do within the screen here then, I'm going to go right into setup, and then I'm going to go, the first screen that I want to focus on is really the e-commerce settings, which is setup, settings, and then it brings us to this screen, and then we can scroll down and we can see here. Now, some of you may actually have a setting which is the multi-location. If that's the case, when we hit on setup settings, we're gonna see up here multi-location. So we click on the location, and then we can select which location we want to set the settings for, and then we can click on e-commerce, which is gonna be on the specific location. For those of you that don't have it, this is the visual you guys are gonna see. Again, setup settings. We scroll down to e-commerce. We go ahead and click on it, and it's going to bring us this screen up here. So we get the pop-up. Right here, we have max age and minimum age. I don't know if a lot of you guys are currently using it, but this is an option we can say, hey, I want to reflect my customers' product from 0 age to 5 age. Keeping in mind, this is the age that shows within your inventory, okay? So this is setting right here. It's global. We also have this setting per customer, which I'll show you guys in a few minutes. So this is something we can take advantage on. If you have like a special customers that always buy your local product and he knows the age and things like that, maybe we can only show product for those customers with that age so you can see that, or vice versa, right? Rules and conditions, really important. If you have something special you want to let the customers know when they log on e-commerce, they can see this on a little yellow pop-up on the top right corner of the screen. If you want them to be able to email invoices, we can activate it. Multi-language, if so, we do so. But this is another key feature I really want to talk about. I'm pretty sure most of you already know, which is setting up your proper cutoff time so your customers are not able to go on, let's say 10 o'clock at night and select a product for today and ship it out today. It's just not going to happen, right? So we need the cutoff time. And if we all remember something, or if I'm sorry, maybe not remember, but bring it up to you guys, is I talk to a lot of prospects, a lot of customers, a lot of people in the industry on a daily basis. And one of the biggest things we're seeing nowadays with the e-commerce and where it's taken us, a lot of the buyers or procurement teams, when they go home, they get really busy, they're tired, so they first do their chores. If they have kids, they deal with their kids. Once that's done, they really jump in the computer, could be between 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, and really start putting in their purchases for the next day. So they're trying to maximize their operation for the next day, and they can do it there anytime. So this is really important to take advantage of these settings because your customers, more and more that they're seeing this, the more customers are being acquired and growing on this process. The other thing I want to point out here is allow customers to place orders days in advance. What does this mean? This is really focused only for your open market inventory. It has different days from 1 day to 20 days. So for example, if you want your customers to only see open market inventory, 5 days out, then we will select 5 days out. That's going to show them only product from now until 5 days. The more we give them, and all the way to the 20, the more chances they're going to see a product to be purchased for next week and things like that. More, and let's say, an open window for them to be visualize more product. And we have two special features within here. Hide your on hand or your open market inventory. So for example, you say, you know what, I hardly handle any open market inventory, but I handle a lot of future sales. If you select this option, you're automatically hiding your open market inventory, and now here with this one selected, you're automatically showing your future sales. So you can play along with these two features. If anything, the website or the tooltip here can give you a little more explanation on what's going on, or you can reach out to us, right? This right here is what I was talking about earlier. One of the key features is sell fast. So if we look at it, don't show us a sell fast icon. If we select it here, then we're automatically hiding the icon, right? So if you guys want to reflect that, we go ahead and just making sure it's on check. So that way it gets reflected, and customers are able to see it. They can hover over it, and they can go ahead and do special deals. Quantity cap. I think this is really, really important. If you guys have a lot of inventory on open market and you guys only want customers to visualize a handful, for example, you guys have 100 boxes of, I don't know, I'm going to say carnations, right? And you only want them to see that you guys have like 20 boxes, you would put in here the amount, so they're not going to know how many product you have. So they're not, let's say, calculating your expenses or your inventory and things like that. They just, hey, this is what I want, let me buy. Behind the scenes, the system is constantly showing always the same amount. Now, if let's say you only have 10 left, then he's actually going to reflect the real account, 10 left. But if you have more than 30, then he's going to show always 30. Okay. This part here, category exclusion, if there's any category you guys don't want to reflect in the system, we can go ahead and put it in here. But we have one more feature that maybe a lot of you don't know about, and is the automatic web hold. This is really used when, for example, you have a lot of product coming in today, tomorrow, or throughout the week, and you don't want that new product to be reflected on your e-commerce as available after a certain time. We can definitely take advantage of this and really select a time frame, and that product will now be reflected on your e-commerce at that time. So this is a really a key feature that we could use. Remember, it's not just a specific product. It's really going to hold all your product, and then when you sell the whole product because you fill it in for your orders or you're sending orders or whatever for the day, soon as that is completed, whatever's left, then it can automatically be now reflected after that time frame here it's passed. Okay, so that's another option you guys can use if you need it. And then we created a couple new features in here, which is the auto confirmation upon order checkout. So a lot of you know that when you're a salesperson already, pretty much, kind of taught your customer how to do things and do the checkout. When they click on checkout, the salesperson gets an email notification letting you know, hey, customer just did X checkout, right? Well, when you activate the setting, what it will do automatically is that instead of having the salesperson go into the order and click on confirm so it can print the documents of the warehouse or whatever, the order will automatically be confirmed, and the warehouse can now proceed to get the order ready. So this is a feature that you guys can use to even maximize more of your operations when it's more automated, like customers that are constantly buying online. Okay. This is just a special feature here just to hide my account on the e-commerce, which I'll show you in a few minutes. And then hide product with no pictures. This happens a lot. If you guys uploaded a new product to the system but forgot about that has no images, if we select, hide pictures, the customers are not going to see that. So it's very important that if we enable this, and when you guys are creating new products and trying to reflect on e-commerce, that you guys are constantly putting pictures if you want the picture to be reflected, okay? And then this is just send checkout notifications too. We can set multiple emails here now to not only just one salesperson, but multiple salespersons that can be sent. And if there's a cancellation for the K2K, we can put the email here, and then automatically that person or that group can receive that. Okay. Hopefully, if you guys have any questions over everything that I went here, we can go ahead and start putting them in the system, and we can go over them in the Q&A session. Okay. Now, what I'm going to proceed and show you guys is really going to be the customer advanced settings that also go with the e-commerce. What I did, I went to, again, set up customer, edit the customer, click on the advanced feature here, and then it takes me to the screen. If you go to the bottom, it says e-commerce settings. This settings for this customer will only apply for e-commerce. So, again, like I was showing here, we have the max and the minimum age, which I spoke earlier about. If we want the customer to see the vendor's name where we purchased that product from, we can say no, show code, or show name. That's an option you guys can do. We also have the show arrival date instead of the ship date. This will be really important if you want your customers to visualize when they can receive the product to their warehouse. and behind this, there's a couple of settings that we need to do, but behind the scene, the system will be able to calculate the transit time from your vendor to your location and from your location to their your customer's warehouse or branch, and then that actually was going to be reflected on e-commerce. So when your customer selects it, we know that it's going to be delivered to them on that specific day. Okay. We also have here the send checkout notification emails for this customer. The other one's more global. And then if you want to do like a markup or a markdown only just for e-commerce pricing, this is the place to go for this markup. Okay. Now, all the thing we also have is allowed to choose inventory type. If we only want a specific customer to see maybe future and let's say vendor availability or just one of them or open market, we can select here and we can select which inventory type that customer should visualize. This is something that you guys again can determine. And the one last thing I want to show here is that if we were to use the vendor availability, we have one setting here which is vendor availability ship via, right? Because this will allow the customer to say, hey, ship it via directly from the farm, or say this is something that you as a company decide, where you can give it as always by warehouse, always arrive to your location first, or you can have the grower reflect your customer's details and you can have them send it to him, or we can do user's choice, that the customer decides how he wants the product to be shipped out, right? That's a possibility. So those are again the main things that I want to point out on the customer's e-commerce settings, and then on the global e-commerce settings. One more thing I wanted to also show you that I missed here in a few seconds ago is going back over to the setup settings. We have this vendor availability and promotional. If you want to reflect vendor availability or K2K, we would come to the setting, click on vendor availability, enable it here, click on save. That enables those options to now be reflected on e-commerce. Okay. And then we also have the promotional message. This screen, a lot of companies are not using it. And I would suggest you use it because every time a customer logs in, if you have a promotional, message already set up based on a time frame, the customers are going to see it. There's two ways we can see this. When I click on new messages, right, we're going to go ahead and create one new one. We can just put it a title. Let's say we're going to do, I don't know, let's say season, for example. I'm just going to say this, right? Season, right? Now here we can say, hey, let's say red roses 20% off. Now I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm just going to give you guys an example, right? So let's say red roses 20% off when you buy more than 20 boxes, please give us a call, right? Something like that, or whatever you guys want to use as a strategy. And then we can go and say publish now, or we can say publish on a specific date on time and when we want that to be expired. Now, once that's done, we go ahead and select, okay, message type. Do you want it to be as a pop-up or do we want it to be as a window, right? The pop-up really is just a small little screen icon that's going to show here. The window is going to be something along this line. So it depends on how, let's say, invasive you want to be with your customer or how aggressive you want to be with this. Then you decide which way you want to go. Now, also away from this, you can add images, change your fonts, your size, whatever you want to do. Literally, you can do it through here. If you ever have any questions about this and things like that, definitely reach out to us. You can take advantage of our marketing team to ask for suggestions, ideas on how it can be promoted. We're here definitely here to help you out. So with that said, I hope that information kind of gives you a better idea. I just want to go back and recap again the main things that we spoke about. So first up, we spoke about inventory management, which through the optimizing sales. We spoke about inventory management. We spoke about sales channels, inventory types, and deals and discounts. This is really going to be the main point where we want to start on how we want to focus on the growth or the strategy with the sales team. With the second step we want to go ahead and take is sales strategy, which goes along with that. How are we going to do it? What is the main focus we're going to do with the customers on the sales types, on the internal flow, and on the reporting so we can start tweaking? And the last of is knowing that how are we going to segment our audience? Are we gonna have the salesperson focus first on giving access only to the tech savvy customers, or start with a handful and continue focusing more on the customers that are let's say more needy and need more calls, more follow up and things like that. The most important thing here is not to replace your salesperson, it's to really give tools for them to maximize the sales. At the end of the day, if you really reflect it right to your salespersons, they're going to make twice as much money, which in return, that's going to be more money, right? A bigger growth for the company because they're really selling more. So it's really going to motivate both sides. The company's going to grow, and you're going to motivate your sales reps to continue selling more. All right. And then the other part that we went over was the key features, taking advantage of the sell fast, customer advanced settings, future sales, pricing, K2K, vendor availability. All right, and guys, that's pretty much the things I wanted to focus on today. Now I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over down to Diana. She's gonna give you guys a little pointers here on taking your customer to the next level. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Danny. I'm just going to touch on a few points here. Um, they're very generally, just to give you kind of a heads up and a tip on how to do some of this, taking your customers to the next level. Once you have everything set up, once you've gone ahead and had defined your internal flow, and what type of inventory you want to put out there, and actually get your customers on board with your e-commerce, there's a few things that you might want to take into consideration. So we did talk about the fact that you want to be able to get your customers on board with the product, and you'll have to work something called product adoption. So it's not just about giving them a username and password. You'll have to talk them through how to make an order for you. And this can go from a very general point of view to a very specific. So, for example, if you, I don't know, sell in mixed boxes, or if you have a specific product only online, or whatever it is, you might want to create your own kind of handbook or email or specification on how to go about placing orders online. But we do already have a lot of material available. So if you're just now jumping on board with e-commerce, you can always go to our knowledge base and then find on there articles on how your customers can create orders either through the visual or the list versions. You can always reach out to us directly as well at marketing@cometsales.com. We can even make videos for you on how your customers can go ahead and place orders through your own e-commerce. So there's definitely something to do there. So you want to be sure you have information and resources available so that your customers go through that adoption phase and really get started on using the e-commerce and not just logging in or whatever it is they do. Also, part of that product adoption is going to be showing them what they can do through their e-commerce account. So, if you're using the list version, for example, your customers are going to be able to see their own invoices and see which orders they've placed, and have kind of a history of what they've done online, and they don't necessarily have to reach out to us for something specifically. So that's definitely something that you might want to share with them. They may not even know, or they may see it but never really venture out in to see what's going on there. So just something that you may want to check. Another thing is, checking when your customer last logs in. We didn't have a lot of chance here to talk about internal flow, so a few things that I just want to mention in regards to what you can do to really guide your sales team, or if you're a salesperson, on your check-ins with your customers, is checking in. Okay, when was the last person last logged in to our e-commerce? Have they logged in recently? What are their, how long has it been? This is something that you can use to really guide your sales strategy, based on what Danny just told you. So if you want your customers to go on there every day, why didn't this person log in the last 3 days? It's just something that you can view directly through the system, and you can see, okay, this many people are logging in, this many people are really not. What are we going to do about it? And then the last thing here is, continuous outreach. So you always want to make sure that you're sending out an email blast, or you're using your social media, or you're using generated content so that you can go ahead and reach out to your customers, or even directly through the sales team. You can go ahead and reach out and say, hey, you haven't really logged in very often to our e-commerce. Did you need any help? Or did you have any difficulties? Because sometimes it may just be that they're not finding the product that they want, and it may just be a setting issue. So those are definitely things that you can use to kind of guide yourself through a better internal flow, and taking your customers really to the next level of using the e-commerce. That's really it. That's all I wanted to mention for you guys today. We want to go ahead and open the floor for you to be able to ask us any questions. Nobody has entered any questions as of yet, but we will give you guys a few minutes if you can think of anything. With this webinar, we are closing out our series of e-commerce fever. we're really excited to hopefully have gotten everybody on board with the e-commerce. If you do have any questions after the webinar or whatever it may be, you can go ahead and send them over to our support team at support@cometsales.com. But in general, we hope this has gotten you a little bit closer to either using the e-commerce or really taking advantage of the e-commerce, because we do notice that a few of our customers sometimes kind of get on board with the e-commerce and then it kind of stops there. So looks like we do have one question here today. So did we go over pricing tiers, Danny?
No, I didn't really go into full detail. Again, we do just, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time to go into full detail with it. But I know some of you really want to go. Is what I would suggest is you guys reach out to me and I can give you more explanation. But to give you a little tips in here on the tier pricing, one way I could suggest to do it within the system is really doing seasons, right? So when you create a price list, we can put a season on it, and then we can associate those seasons to the customers for pre-booking or for open market or for standing orders, right? Or for type all, which will apply to everything. So that will be one way, which goes along with your segmenting of your customers. Do I want to create prices for customers that are, let's say I'm gonna put it this way: customer, it's pricing A, pricing B, pricing C, and pricing D. This really determines how the customer is handled. Now, each company is gonna segment that differently, because it could be price A would be for customers that are buy a lot. Price B could be for customers that buy very little. Pricing list could be done for customers that are just here and there, and I want to constantly changing seasons or things like that. So, on that tier pricing, definitely reach out to me. My email again, it's Danny@cometsales.com. I can give you a little more specific point on that. But again, some of you during the promotional days, if you guys join all three sessions of the webinar, there is free training that's going on. So we can definitely take advantage of that free training with these questions on the pre-pricing. And that way I can show you guys into more details how this can read. I wish I would have more time so I can go over those pricings, but I think I'll definitely like to do it more on a personal level. That way we can go into more detail on how each company has their information laid out, and then I can give you some pointers, and then we can go in there instead of me going globally here and kind of giving you this bunch of ideas, but maybe I'm not, let's say, being more specific to your business and strategy. Another question we have here, it's do you have a K2K demo available for download to practice and get familiar with? Unfortunately, we don't have it. I can give you access to our demo account, and not on a real basis level account, but more as a test. That can be done. One of the reasons why we really want to do like a K2K real life connection, but we have it on the demo account, is because if something happens, again, we have to go through connecting with other vendors' information and transferring, and then so they're gonna see real information going back and forth in time, and they're gonna get confused. So, for those of you that maybe want to take advantage of the demo account, and I can show you how to use the test that I always present on the Komet to Komet, I can give you access to that, and you guys can play around and see how that works. But keep in mind that it may not be the best option, because you guys are going to be using, let's say, test information or data that is not going to be properly associated with what you guys want to do today. But I can give you guys access to those demos account, and you guys definitely have the opportunity to go in, create products similar to what you guys do on a daily basis, and then you can do those tests. But you're not going to actually receive that product from your vendors, nor have the interaction with your vendors. Okay. Um,
I just want to jump in here for a second and mention two things. In regards to the 2 hours free trainings, we'll be going over the list of all the attendees for the all three webinars. We'll be reaching out to you directly if you attended all three webinars to offer 2 hours of free training for e-commerce. So just in the next few days, we'll be doing that so that you guys can rest assured that's going to happen. And then another thing I did want to mention is that although we do not have a K2K demo available right off the bat, we do have a few webinars and white papers available through our resources page. If you guys go to our this page right here. So it's cometsales.com/resources. You'll be able to find that information there. Not sure how familiar you are with it already, but that's some first-hand information on K2K. And then also there's a webinar on, how it works for importers, wholesales, and so on and so forth. So you might be able to find some information on there. So I think with that, we can go ahead and wrap up this webinar. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here today. Again, if you do have any further questions, do not hesitate to contact us. And thank you again.
Guys, thank you again for your time. And again, any questions you have, reach out to me, reach out to our team. We're here to help you guys out and definitely continue making you grow. Don't think of us as a business that's providing comment. It's really think of us as your partner because the more you grow, the more we grow. So it literally there is a win-win situation here for us. But what really matters for us is that you guys are constantly really taking full advantage of comment. And let's say use a word that may not go with this, but let's explode comment to 100%. Right? Let's maximize it. Let's make sure that we're thinking, okay, I want to dream big. What can I do? If you don't see it in comment, but you have a huge dream, hey, bring it up. We can probably take a look at it, see if something we can work on for the future, and try to give you ideas on how you can maximize that. Once again, thanks, guys, and definitely looking forward to hear from any more questions or details you guys may need from us.
All right, don't forget, everyone, we do have a survey at the end of the webinar, so please go ahead and fill it out if you can on your way out. Have a great day.
Oh, one last thing I want to do. Hey, Craig, thank you so much for the the finger that you're giving us. A good job. That we're doing a great job with what we did, and I really appreciate it. Thumbs up. Take care.